All right, I am going to honor your time. I think we might end up using the full hour. Okay, why am I getting like little notifications? Here we go. I'm going to shut this off. Okay. Um, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Amanda DiNardo. I am your trusted mentor tonight. We are going to leverage the power of decision making because let me tell you, when you can tap into really trusting in your decisions, you find so much freedom. And I'm going to take you through all of this tonight. But um, by way of introduction, I am, again, Amanda DiNardo. I'm a life and mindset coach. I have worked with students and families as a counselor. I have my master's in education and counseling, and I've worked with hundreds of women of all ages for the past 8 years in my coaching business. So a total of 17 years, give or take, of just serving. And I knew that I always wanted to serve. And the only reason why I share all of that, and you can look at my bio and all the offerings that I have to give my clients because I coach women one-on-one. Um, it's my mission to serve, and I think it's so important that we are very cautious in terms of who we let speak into us. So I just thank you all for trusting me to support you and to give you this wisdom and knowledge tonight. So who is like super excited? Like, just give me a heck yes, because decision making is it, y'all. It is it. Let me see a heck yeah in the chat. Let's see. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I want to start off by asking all of you, what are you tolerating as it relates to decision making? Like, where are you falling short in that? Do you feel like you have decision fatigue? Do you feel stuck? Do you feel confused? Just pop it in the chat. Stuck, confused. What are some of the emotional places that you find yourself in with decision making? Thank you. Overthinking. Okay. Yep. Yep. Ruminating, justifying. We're going to get into all of this. Yep. Same. Overthinking. I like to ask these questions because when we can just see that we all have this hard wiring, crazy lady brain kind of operating in the background, keeping us in overthinking places and heavy emotional places, it just breaks down these barriers. We don't feel alone. This is so normal, and I just want to lead with that. Everything that comes from indecision, making a decision, and second guessing. Oh, gotta love that. Yep, everything that we are doing in our humanness is so normal, but what we want to do is we want to optimize, especially when it comes to decision making. Decision making is it. When we optimize our mind and manage our mind in a way where we're really deciding, but also pre-deciding, you literally walk like you have your own back. You walk like a boss. So, thank you, first and foremost, again, for showing up tonight. I think we have a couple more people who are joining us. You chose to be here. You had the choice to bail, or you had the choice to show up and participate and kick back and sip your tea or sip your wine. I will say just have one glass of wine, not two, while we're on this call, because I really want you getting all the info. Um, no, I'm totally joking, but listen, I like my wine too. Um, when you choose, when you're posed with a choice, right? And then you commit to that choice, now you're in decision making mode. So you all decided, you all engaged in the decision making process by showing up tonight, by choosing and committing and putting the blinders on. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is what we do, ladies. We do make decisions every single day. In fact, we make a lot of decisions as women. However, there's so many little sneaky decisions, and maybe they're small, but they make a big impact when we're not making decisions. So when we're not actually choosing and committing to them. So we are going to break the chains of indecision. How many of you feel as though you are sitting in what a lot of people call decision fatigue? Like, oh my gosh, I'm bogged down with decisions. Give me a yes if that's you. Do you feel bogged down with decision making? Yep. Okay. Just the day to day, right? Like there's just so many things. And one of my clients was saying this to me the other day. She's like, Amanda, I never felt like this when I was in college, or But now with just with all the layers of responsibility and everything, all the circumstances that show up in our lives as we grow and step into more, and it's there's so much beauty in that. But then you also think about our culture and all the layers, the relationships. There's so many things that are calling us to make decisions. So in order to break the chain of indecision, I need you to get really clear on how this is showing up, okay? So when you find yourself in judgment and justifying and the constant questioning and the second guessing and the avoiding and the procrastinating and the ruminating and just like literally your brain feels like it's about to explode. How many feel like your brain is about to explode some days? Raise your hand. Yes. Who has an exploding brain from all the decision fatigue? Nancy, I love it. Thank you, Nancy. What happens, ladies? We are sitting in indecision. It's not decision fatigue, it's indecision fatigue. And under these behaviors of judging and justifying and questioning, in fact, I will say these behaviors are like under actioning. So they're really not moving the needle in your life, okay? So I want you just to like think about the cost of engaging in these behaviors? What is this costing you to constantly be judging and justifying and second guessing? Like, what is showing up in terms of the cost, the price that you're paying for sitting in these behaviors? Just whatever comes to mind. And I appreciate the vulnerability. This is huge. Oh, opportunities. Sleep. Yes. Not being present. Oh, when I'm in indecision, I feel so confused, and then my brain starts going into overdrive, and then I'm like more reactionary. I find myself more frustrated, and this is not good. Like especially if y'all are close to my age and getting closer to the perimenopausal phase, just layered in there, right? Yeah, not being present, lack of sleep. So when we can break the chain of indecision, this is where your cells start to like literally the cells in your body are like, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, because you're free, you feel lighter. When you feel lighter and your cells are happy, your nervous system is happy, and therefore your inflammation goes down, and therefore you lose weight more effortlessly. Like this is a beautiful compounding effect when we break the chains. So I want you to think about that cost, and I want you to kind of play that movie forward. Imagine, like, literally put yourself in a movie frame. What is the cost if I continue to engage in these behaviors? A year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, pop it in the chat. What is my life going to look like if these behaviors continue? Oh, if these behaviors continue, it's funny. Less joy and presence. How is that going to manifest? No growth. Yeah. Yeah. So, and that no growth, just that perpetual stuck place. And that's where we fall into like this, I call it the high achievers inadequacy layer. It's like this perpetual stagnation. And then Mean Girl shows up and she's like kicking your butt because you haven't seen the growth, right? Less joy and presence. Yep. Yep. Playing the movie forward. Under these behaviors, ladies, are heavy emotions that are tied to indecision. So often we're feeling overwhelmed, we're feeling confused, we're feeling uncertain, we're feeling less than, we're feeling unworthy, we're feeling like my brain's going to explode, right? We're literally asking ourselves a lot of uncertain questions and we're not solving for those. So you just think the behavior is being driven by a heavy emotional place. When you are in heavy emotional places, you literally are overruling logic. When you are in your heavy emotional brain, I call it the crazy lady brain. My crazy lady brain, her name is Ursula. Feel free to steal that. You can name yours whatever you'd like, but we want to start externalizing because awareness is so key. When you are in that heavy emotional brain, You are not in your prefrontal cortex. So this is where women will tell me, "Oh my gosh, Amanda, my ADHD brain is out of control." I had a client the other day saying like, "Oh my gosh, I think I'm really going to go on anxiety meds." And once we started diving into decision making and pre-deciding, and this is a powerful step in the decision making place, she texted me today. She's like, "I feel so much lighter and freer. I don't like, I'm literally putting the, anxiety med like research on hold at this point because she feels that much lighter." When you are back in your prefrontal cortex because you are making decisions and committing to them and closing some of those mental loops, now you're able to solve problems. You're able to make even more decisions, and you're tapped back into your executive functioning. That is where that ADHD brain starts to kick in when this is being zapped because you're in these heavy emotional places. So, what heavy emotional places are you feeling under some of these behaviors that are precipitating some of these behaviors? Is it overwhelm? Is it frustration? Pop it in the chat. What are the feeling places under indecision? Confused, uncertain, anxious. What's like bubbling up? Overwhelmed, which leads to the overthinking. Yep. Oh, Heather knows. Yep. Emotion, behavior. Yes. And the overthinking place is that under actioning place, and you're not seeing the results. You're not seeing new movement. You're not seeing change. Yep. Anybody else? Frustration, anxiety. This is typically where we see a lot of that anxiety show up. Yep. What else? Okay, the fear of what others will think about the decisions. Okay, so there's that like judgment and that emotional place. What does that feel like? Like is uncertainty essentially, right? Yep. So crazy. It's so crazy how decisions. Oh, yes, I love this. The judgment place. Judgment is so sneaky, and that's such a it's almost tied to shame and that unworthiness, that less than place, like that not enough place. Oh, you guys are the best. Judging. Yep. Okay. See, well, that crazy lady, she loves to take the reins. So when we talk about decision making, the Latin root of the word decidere, like I'm gonna say it like it's Italian, but I think it would be like a decidere. The Latin root word of decision means to cut off. When you cut off something, you're making a choice and eliminating other possibilities. So we get to do this in our mind, in our emotional place, and in our actions. Okay. So I was really thinking about this, especially as it relates to, I have a young daughter. She's going to be 12. So I was really thinking about decision making as it relates to young girls. We were watching oh my gosh, that documentary, that Gabby Petito documentary, and not to get morbid, but this young lady is, dating this guy, and there's all these red flags, and she sees it and she feels it, and she keeps ignoring her gut instinct. And this is where I think about, especially some of the younger women that I've served in the past, and I have like some 20-year-olds coming to me now, and the second guessing and the questioning, what we do is we turn our back on ourselves. We turn our back on our gut instinct. And listen, ladies, we have a really powerful gut instinct. Like and as women, we feel more negative emotions because I think we're meant to protect like offspring and all these things. But truly, we can get so dialed into that gut instinct, to that intuition, but we block it. And then God forbid, we continue to turn a blind eye to that gut instinct because we are not clear in our mind. We haven't pre-decided. We haven't really anchored into our values and all the things that we'll dive into. But you give away your power and you stop having your own back. And God forbid you get to a point where things just keep blowing up in your face, or something really drastically terrible shows up in your reality. Okay. So when I want you to think about this, because even my own daughter, I'm like, you need to decide. She asks me to make decisions for her. I say, you need to decide this because you need to have that power. Because when you see the result in your decision, you get to confirm that and pat yourself on the back. Okay, I did this. It's confirmed. It resulted, the way I maybe expected or would have liked it to turn out. So yay, I did it. So when was the last time you stopped trusting your gut? Like what age range? Like when did you stop trusting your gut? Do you still trust your gut? Pop it in the chat. Give me some feedback on when did you stop trusting your gut? As a coach, I'm a professional question asker, and I will certainly wait and pause and let your brain do the work to really think and answer this question. When did you stop trusting your gut? Okay. I call my gut the sixth sense. Okay, so you lean into the gut instinct. Beautiful. Oh, yes, 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 yes. And doesn't that serve you, right? When we're leaning into that gut instinct? Okay, so I do trust my gut now, but can take me some of that inner work just to reassure. Yes. Yes. Sometimes we question that, right? You think you're trusting your gut, but then you're like, "Oh, is that my gut instinct?" And this is where a lot of that messaging from the world and our programming or, "Oh, really? Oh, you're making that decision? Oh, you really think she's rude? Oh, well, that's not very nice," right? Like there's so many other layers where we start second guessing our decisions and our gut instinct. Yes. So when you are making powerful decisions, again, you're back up in your prefrontal cortex, which does allow you to literally look at your circumstances with a very clear lens. You get to tap back into that true intuitive place. And this is again where pre-deciding comes into play. Um, but I just wanted to just highlight some of my clients. Okay. Ooh, somebody else perfect in the chat. Different relationships, I'm not as strong as okay. So like in some relationships, maybe there's some second guessing. Yes, because there's so many layers in relationships. There's so many circumstances within relationships. So this is where like our brain can almost, sabotage us. It could because it is wired to do that self-sabotaging. Okay, so a trusting, like just I want you to think about this, right? If your inner world literally in your heart and soul, like I just trust myself. Like it's almost like, right, your shoulders relax, the weight of the world is off of you because there's such ease. If you trust yourself, you are sturdier. When you are sturdier, the people around you benefit. And and that emotional world, I just want you to think about this, right? That emotional world of trust and ease and enoughness, like just feeling whole and hopeful, that emotional place, people can't pounce on that. When you are wishy-washy and hemming and hawing, it creates that uncertainty. People sense that uncertainty. People who you don't want to sense that uncertainty, and then you start seeing the results of that. So there's a part of our brain called the reticular activation system. It's literally finding everything that you tell it. So you're like, I don't know. Is that, it's going to keep finding the I don't knows, and it's going to maybe find some of the I don't knows in people in your orbit that can then otherwise latch on to that uncertain emotional place and tap into some narcissistic behavior, maybe some love bombing, maybe some gaslighting, maybe oh no, that's not you don't need to think like that. Like no, I would never do such a thing, right? I had a client who just had a really crazy situation happen to her. And thankfully, she did trust her gut instinct and got out quick. But leading up to that, she was kind of doing the wishy-washy, hemming and hawing. But I just wanted to highlight some of my clients. This was a woman who trusted herself to take a big leap as it relates to the decision to leave a safe, sturdy, and safe is relative in certainty in our world with even corporate jobs, right? There's layoffs, there's all the things, but she decided to take a leap to step outside of her comfort zone and start her business. We were already kind of working on starting her business, but she really was able to anchor in that firm decision place based on her protocol, based on her values, based on everything she had already decided. And now it just feels like this breath of fresh air, and she's just so ready to take the leap. And this is where decision making allows you to make a decision before push comes to shove, or at least step into that decision, that initial part of the decision, right? Another client, these are, oh gosh, this, I'm trying to think because now I have these two up here. I didn't realize I put them two on the screen. Okay. Oh, this client, special her. Oh gosh, truly beyond grateful for all that you've done. I'm so blessed. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think what were we coaching on in this circumstance? Because I know the next client um, made a decision to finally share with her parents her trauma story, being a child and being sexually assaulted. And that decision we had to kind of coach through. She not only decided to take the action to tell her parents, but she had to decide the thoughts that she was going to think in order for her to feel propelled and convicted enough to take that step. Okay. So decision making is just so powerful because on the other side, again, there was freedom, there was ease, there was joy. Like she just felt this, again, the weight of the world lifted off her shoulders. So when you think about anchoring in decisions and truly committing to them, you are building confidence and competence. And this is a skill that you do train for. This is a skill that you do take action in. It's not just something that like happens through osmosis. You really truly do have to kind of do all the mindset work, the getting curious, the awareness, and really diving into so many layers. What do I value? I ask some of my clients, pull out your everything in your life as if it was your closet. Like what would you A, take out and not put back in? And what would you choose to put back in? And maybe what would you add, right? Even just making that decision is so powerful. But the problem with this is when we have to make harder decisions. So I want you just to think about having your own back. What would it feel like to walk in trust and hope and ease every single day? What would that feel like? Pop it in the chat. Certain areas I totally trust my gut, but in others I'm more cautious. Okay, so maybe there would be more just even greater trust and greater capacity and more freedom and lightness. Picturing that feels good. Yes, just much more assured and confident. Yes. Okay, ladies, when you are feeling assured and confident and calm and so full of gratitude and overwhelming peace and trust, right? How are you showing up in the world? Like, how do people see you? What are your relationships looking like? What risks are you taking? What do your days look like? How are they different? More smiling, you're happy, which again is so attractive. You're a go-getter, so you're actually like taking the action steps, right? If you're trusting yourself, that energy needs a place to go. You're going to take the action. My best self shines through. It's like you're a peacock. There's so much more joy. Yeah, you're just walking into rooms and people take notice. They're like, I want what she's got, right? You become like this role model. It's just powerful. So when you have your positivity, you become a magnet. Yes, you're right. Everything's boomeranging back to you in a positive way. Joy and light. Oh, you guys are the best. This is so fun. When you have your own back, you start walking into rooms. I call it the natural flow. Heads turn, people want what you got, your shoulders are pushed back, the tone of your voice changes, the words that you choose are more effortless and they land like beautifully with your maybe romantic partner who you've gotten an argument with yesterday. You are a magnet, and this is why this work is so powerful. So good. So we are going to dive into a little bit more of like the tactile kind of stuff. So this is where you can maybe take some notes or just kind of sink in and let it all like marinate. The protocol for decision making is very, very simple. I said it at the beginning. All you have to do is choose and commit. Okay. And here's the beauty of doing so. Pizza, tacos, right? Two choices. Obviously, we could tap into maybe some values. What are my priorities? Maybe tacos, maybe align more with my macros. um, right? But you make the choice and you commit to it. And when you commit to it, now the blinders are on. I'm going for the tacos, right? But in a just bigger picture type of way, especially as it relates to harder decisions. Do I stay? Do I leave? Do I, um, you know, I mean, in any situation, stay or leave, relationships, work. Do I, take this leap of faith and do I reach out to this person? Do I make this bold ask? Do I have this hard conversation, right? What happens is when you are posed with these two choices and then you commit to one of them, at least you're able to open the door and peek in. Okay, yep, I made the right decision. So one of my clients made the decision to leave her husband. We worked through this. She had already even pre-decided this even before we started working together. But the last step of her actually leaving was packing her bags and kind of like letting him know. She kind of planned this all out. But in that last step of the decision, that commitment to the decision, she was like freaking out because it was the very last step. But she had already peeked in the door. So just deciding, you know what, I'm leaving. It allowed her to peek in and say, yep, that's absolutely the right decision. So I want you to think about where just making this choice and committing, even that baby step to a decision, how that could serve you. Is there any decision that maybe you're oscillating on, or a decision that you've kind of been putting off? I want you to think about if you were to choose that and commit to even like the babyest step in that, what could be possible for you? And I know this is getting a little bit more vulnerable, but if anybody would like to share, you can pop it in the chat. Okay, building confidence over time. I think that was from the last one. So if you're going to choose and commit to even one little baby step as it relates to a decision that you might have been putting off or kind of oscillating between. Different life, new beginnings. Okay, gives a more clear path forward, less confusion. So at least you're opening the door and you're able to see, okay, is this providing me with more confusion or is it providing me with some peace? And when there's peace in your decisions, even if it feels a little uncomfortable, I want you to lean into that. Has anybody felt that before, right? Like, oh, there's still a little bit of discomfort, but I do feel this sense of peace. And that's where we might start second guessing ourselves again, right? Because there's still that discomfort, but it's not truly like that alert. It's more just that shedding of that old skin and stepping into a new skin. Anybody else want to share choosing and committing to maybe just a baby step? Because maybe this, even just typing this in the chat, choosing to type this in the chat could allow for some commitment, right? Anybody want to share? Okay, we can keep moving along. I hope just conceptually, obviously it's very simple. I hope this makes sense. We're going to keep building on this, but there's peace, but there's still fear of judgment. Right. Okay. So here's the deal, right? In the perfect world, in the most picture perfect bubble, we can make decisions all day long. It'd be great, right? However, because life is so uncertain, our mind starts to drift to all of these different directions. So I just want you to imagine that you're sitting on a stool. And this is just one of the ways that I like to kind of teach my clients about how our mind likes to default to the negative places. So we love to look in these five directions. Our brain loves to look inward and outward. It does like to be present and look to the present. This is where we feel most fulfilled. This is where we create the most like emotionally charged memories. Our brain loves to look to the past and it also loves to look to the future. And because we have a negatively biased brain, So I use this example. I want you to imagine, right? Lining up 100 people. 99 of them say you're great and wonderful, and one person says you suck and your kids are ugly, right? Whose comment do you focus on all day? The negative one. Our brain is wired to drift towards the negative. So imagine like the keys on a keyboard, right? The default is negative until we press shift. We're operating in that uncapitalized mode, right? We're operating in that default mode until you are creating awareness. So, just to kind of give you an example, we look to the past, and often, right? Again, all of you women here are showing up for a reason. You've accomplished goals. You're high achieving. You're motivated. You're committed to yourself. So you do this. You do look to in all of these directions in a positive, productive, and or just neutral way. But often our brain is defaulting to the negative. So we look to the past and we say things like the inner dialogue, the hard wiring starts saying things like, well, if this didn't happen, then this. I wouldn't be, then I wouldn't have to deal with this. It looks to the past and it projects the past into the future, right? Well, I've never done this before. So now you're dragging your past like a ball and chain with you into the future. So all of these sneaky little default thoughts are keeping you in fear while you're trying to make this uncertain decision because our brain hates uncertainty. So if I can just keep you operating in the past, in the future, looking outward at other people and saying, oh, I could never have that. That's not for me. Nope, nope. Even though I have like a little tinge of like desire. No, 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 that's not for me. That's not for me. We look to the future and we start saying things like how and what if. This is exactly where our brain goes. So when I coach my clients around desired circumstances, right away I can tell you your brain's going anything new, your brain is going to what if and how. And if you don't solve for that, you are going to stay in indecision. It's like an unanswered question, and you just keep asking yourself all the unanswered questions until you're blue in the face. And then Mean Girl shows up because you haven't gotten any results from that. So our mind just loves to keep us safe and small. So decisions feel hard because there's some hardwiring default negative thoughts that are showing up in the mix because your brain doesn't want you stepping into new decisions. Your brain wants to keep you small and safe. It wants to keep you in the safe cave that you know where you get your water in this cave, you know where you drink in this cave, you know where you sleep in this cave. This new cave on the other side of this decision is frightening. I don't know where I eat and sleep and drink in this cave. So this is where pre-deciding some of the thought places is going to be really powerful as well. Okay, so again, we can make all the greatest decisions in the picture perfect bubble of life, but that is not how our life works. We, as human beings, are all living the 50-50. I call it we're all living the 50-50, the good and bad, right? Some of us have more 50% negative circumstances like stacked on in earlier in life, while others have it later in life, or just again, 40,000 foot view of all human beings. And there's layers to this, and I'll explain that. But in the trajectory of your life, you can very clearly see that we are all living the good and bad of life, right? You can be the most attractive, talented, wealthy person. You are still living the 50-50 of life. And that's kind of evident just in terms of, the celebrities that we see going to rehab. They have everything, but they're still humans living the 50-50 life experience. Okay. Now, we create more of the 80-20, 90-10 bad versus good when we are thinking when we are letting our negatively biased brain do all the thinking for us. Because what happens is we start finding ourselves in emotional suffering. So as humans, we have true human emotions that we're meant to feel, and that's a whole nother webinar. But oftentimes we are sitting in emotional suffering. So we're creating negative feelings based on our thinking. So I'm going to give you kind of a little snapshot of what that looks like, but tell me how that feels to you about living the true 50-50. We're all in that place as humans, in that emotional suffering place. Like when you think about trying to make a decision and that judgment shows up, where is that judgment coming from? Anybody wants to share anything from your past, anything as far as messaging from family or childhood, or and it doesn't always just have to be trauma. It's oftentimes is just that default brain. No, I'll keep going. 50-50. Okay. Just keep marinating. Just keep sinking in. So, when we think about getting out of that emotional suffering place because it is blocking us from being able to step into decisions and step into that higher quality thinking and problem solving brain, the only thing that you truly have control over in the decision making, but in this life, in this 50-50 life, are your thoughts and your feelings and your actions, which essentially are decisions. And when you think about making a decision, yes, oftentimes it's like, okay, I'm making the decision. I'm writing a pro and con list, or you think of it as like a physical action. But the action to even decide is actually a mental action. It requires that mental energy that our brain doesn't love to engage in because, again, there's so much uncertainty. So, in this uncertain world, this 50-50 life, you only have control over your thoughts and feelings and actions. So, we are going to leverage these in order to make powerful decisions. Okay. So when you are tapped in to higher quality feeling places, we talked about this, empowered, open, strong, abundant, trusting, excited, vulnerable, like, oh, compassionate, right? Grateful, it's like just overflowing gratitude. There's like that overflow, right? When you are in these emotional places, you are able to step in. You're able to get clear and make decisions. When you imagine yourself literally sitting in any of these emotional places, like what is the first thing that you want to do? When you feel empowered, like where does that energy want to go? Like what would be the action that you would engage in? When you feel compelled or convicted or just so confident, what is the behavior that you engage in? Pop it in the chat. We get to feel good. Like imagine just feeling like this every single day. Oh, share it with others, reach out to others, pay it forward. Yes. Oh, connecting. Yes. So if you're feeling this way, right? The immediate action is to give and to serve. And doesn't it always feel better to give rather than receive? Like when we're outpouring on other people and lighting other people up, it just, again, it boomerangs back, it multiplies to us. So that beautiful energy needs a place to go in such a powerful way. So obviously, like we were talking about, choosing, you have the power of choice, the weapon of choice. We forget we have the weapon of choice as women. You have the choice to sit in resentment and confusion and anxiety and bitterness and ick and all the cringe, stingy places, or you have the choice to feel these emotions. Empowered, strong, abundant, these feelings, right? Compassionate. So you have a choice. So when I'm coaching my clients around decision making, especially as it relates to goals or desires, I ask them what is the feeling that they want to feel. What emotion do you just love to feel? And I will say trust and hope is usually that goal setter emotional place. But tell me in the chat, what is an emotion that you just love to feel? Like love, love, love to feel. Like I love to feel a possibility, like that feeling place of possibility, it just lights me. Grateful and inspired. Yes. Ugh. It's like the light, like there's like a golden light radiating out of you when you feel grateful and inspired. People just see that and gravitate towards it. Yes. Yep. Gratitude and presence. And there's like peace. Uh, Under presence, isn't that just the peace and fulfillment and joy, right? So good. So good. So If we have a choice, the compassion, yes, yes, yes. Oh, compassion and passion. Like, where does that, when you're in those emotional places, that's just like you're ready to like serve in such a big way. So, again, weapon of choice. If you are choosing to feel anxious and confused, right, we can leverage that to decide ahead of time how you want to feel. Okay. So if I want to feel hopeful making a decision, if I want to feel confident in making a decision, I need to align thoughts to that. Okay. So pre-deciding how do I want to feel in this decision making or just even in this current circumstance or potential circumstance or desired circumstance, I want you to decide how you're feeling. This is such an easy step because we want to feel good and we are made to feel good. So if you anchor in that feeling place, now what we get to do is we just get to funnel backwards from that feeling. So if I'm deciding to feel compelled, empowered, valued, fired up, right? I want to tell myself some high quality thoughts and sentences. I'm going to start speaking to myself more compassionately and kindly, right? So some of my thoughts, especially as it relates to starting my business, um, when I was still working full time was if not you, then who? So if I wanted to feel hopeful and trusting enough in myself, the thoughts that I was offering myself was if not you, then who? That allowed me to start taking some baby steps towards that decision. I started researching. I started, asking, okay, oh, talking to my husband. Okay, we might have to put the insurance under you, right? Like all the things. So aligning that thought place is such a powerful way to stay anchored in the feeling place. So when you decide the feeling place, then you decide the thought place. Now we're compelling thoughts with emotions that literally have no place to go but more abundant, prosperous action because our thoughts drive our feelings. And again, so again, if you're deciding the feelings ahead of time, you already like are holding the golden ticket, right? Thoughts drive our feelings drive our behaviors, our actions, our decisions are what get us results. If we're not taking any action, if we're not moving through any decisions, we're staying stuck and same. And that obviously just perpetuates that carousel. This is where women tell me, Amanda, I know I want off this carousel, but I don't know how. And this is the how. So please feel free to take any one of these beautiful higher quality thoughts. I have everything I need within. If you want to feel hopeful and you align, I have everything I need within. And listen, this thought, this is why the individual coaching work is really, really powerful. And this is why I value my one-on-one time with my clients because everyone is unique. And this thought, I have everything I need within, may not align for you. It may not align for person A, but it might align for person B. And I'm not just serving up thoughts on a platter. We coach through these. But even if you were just to start trying some of these on as it relates to some of the emotional places that you want to anchor in, that you're pre-deciding to anchor in, these are just really some, I can tell you I've grounded in many of these thoughts. Everything is figure outable. Like what a neutral thought, right? If you're stepping into something new or change or you're saying like I'm gonna wallpaper my office like I've never done that before. Like everything is figure outable. So, do you see how powerful this is? When you decide the feeling place and the thought place, you start taking actions. When you start taking actions, you start seeing results. The results then confirm to you, yay, I did it. But furthermore, it's also allowing you to close some mental loops. So many women come to me with the ADHD brain and they say, oh my gosh, my ADHD, or they say, I'm so anxious. When we can start closing more loops because of decision making, you're not in the mind drama, you're not in the mental overload, and you're able to solve and efficiently move through all the layers and all the circumstances and kind of check those boxes really quickly. And we get so much satisfaction from checking a box. Anybody else get so much satisfaction from checking the boxes? How does this feel to everyone? I just want give me like a heck yes if this just feels like, oh, yes, I can totally like take some of this and be able to apply it. Okay. Yep, 100%. Hopefully that Yep. Anybody else feel like this is becoming more of like a conceptual but applicable? Okay, love it. Love it. Yay. Okay. We're kicking it up a notch because now that you have the thoughts with the feelings, you're able to move through the yellow light. You're able to now move through the resistance. You're able to move now through some of the discomfort that's going to show up in the uncertainty of making, especially a larger decision, a more uncertain decision. Okay, like leaving a job or ending a relationship, or, you know, some of my clients are like, should I be on the apps or should I not be on the apps for dating? I'm like, just decide. Oh my gosh, let's close this loop, right? So when you compel thoughts with feelings, you are now moving through the yellow light. You're now moving through the gray, the uncertainty. You're not feeding into more of the anxiety. And what you're able to do now is you're able to open that door. You're able to kind of peek inside and get some validation and or get some clarity on, okay, yeah, you know what? This doesn't seem like it's the right fit, or this doesn't seem like it's aligning to like that gut instinct. When we can move through the yellow light, when you can move through the uncertainty, when you are not just oscillating back and forth, hemming and hawing, you get out of the miserable middle. I've heard it called the messy middle, but I call it the miserable middle because you are literally suffering when you're oscillating back and forth, back and forth. When you have the same thoughts and the same behaviors, you stay stuck. When you stay stuck, Mean Girl shows up and she says, why are you stuck? Why haven't you done anything? Why is everything still the same, same, same? This is so annoying. And now you're not just sitting in confusion and stuck and ick, you're sitting in judgment and shame. And that is the lowest of low emotional place that you can feel. Like that's like death. Like that is ultimate despair. And now when we're compelling new thoughts with new behaviors, you're not only just moving through the yellow light, you're also building this intangible world of confidence and trust, which is also now allowing you to step into that new self-concept. So I use this example a lot when I talk about self-concept. You imagine someone who's, lost 100 pounds. They've done all the strategy. Maybe they've taken all the action, but they haven't aligned a belief that I'm the thin, activated version of me. So they gain all the weight back. So when you are doing this work in this way, where you're compelling thoughts with feelings, you are literally stepping into a new you. This is, growth to growth, glory to glory. We're meant to evolve and grow. And while it feels heavy because of the emotions we have to move through, when you are compelling and deciding the thoughts with the feelings and taking the aligned action, you get to the new version of you faster, you close in on that time gap faster, and you literally are able to override the resistance. And this is where, again, making some of these harder decisions in some of the negative circumstances that also may arise, this is where you have to do the brain pulling. So really, this is going to allow you to not only get out of the messy middle, but do the brain pulling when you maybe get hit with a low value season where things start stacking and you start like second guessing yourself all over again, right? So when you work with me, you step into that firm decision maker self-concept. You grow in that confidence, you grow in that capacity, and it's a gift that just keeps on giving, not only to you, but everyone around you. So good. How does this feel to everybody? Like, give me like a thumbs up. Like, are we feeling like excited? Are you feeling more trusting? Just kind of having these tools to tap into? Tr Type in trust if you're feeling more trusting. Yes. Trust, trust, trust. Okay. So love it. Amen. I want you to decide on purpose. So I'm just going to hold on. Sorry. I I was going to send the link to my decision workbook. It is on my website, so you can absolutely get the link and maybe I could send it through email too. But some of the questions inside the workbook ask, am I clear on what I want? Okay. So obviously clarity is key. When I work with my clients, the first 3, 4 sessions are typically clearing out a lot of noise, getting clear on what you want, because so often I'm told what I don't want. So let's flip the script and like let's decide what I do want. I do have a core value sheet. Who do I want to be? What do I want? Like not even right, like not even just what do I want in my life? What do I want 10 years from now? Who do I want to be? Do I have all the facts? And this is where I anchor in some decision protocols, but thinking about what is possible, playing the movie forward, and then really anchoring in that thought place. What thoughts are going to propel me? And this is just, again, it's just so powerful. So take a screenshot if you'd like of this, or I can send the workbook over. You can kind of, if you'd like me to send the workbook, actually, if you just want to type workbook in the chat, I'll make sure I get it to you after the webinar. Okay. So when we look at, and this is just kind of my coaching model, but when you look at decision making, it's not just about, again, stepping into maybe the action. It's also about some of the mental work up here, right? It's most decision making is just the mindset work. And this is why I love it, because literally everything is a decision. Thoughts, feelings, actions, what you have control over. You are just deciding always, always, always. So when we look at desired circumstance, let's say a new job, a new career, a business, whatever it may be, you decide the feeling place you want to feel ahead of time. Then you pre-decide, okay, this is what I'm going to think, right? Um, Often that default brain is going to like, I won't make more money. Ooh, what if this is hard? What if I step into this new job and there's more responsibility and then I don't have time? And then you're, just asking yourself all the questions and you're not answering for them. So this is why just having that neutral and or more high quality thought place will at least allow you to look at things more clearly and take a good, hard, even just taking the action to do a pro and con list will maybe come to fruition more so than if you're just trapped in this emotional default brain, right? I know I have skills and value to give. You go from defeated to encouraged. You go from avoiding to applying. You go from same old to more money. Yes? Sounds simple. It actually is simple. This is so simple. It's like silly sometimes, but our brain makes it so hard. This is why we have to clear out the noise. There's so many thoughts that just have tentacles all over your life. But this is how belief decisions come into play. So shifting, pre-deciding that I'm not going to believe that old story anymore. I'm going to believe this new story about me. That's going to take the mental work of pre-deciding ahead of time what you want to think and feel. Well, feel and think. Okay. A boundary decision. These are powerful, right? Because yeah, tentacles. You know it, tentacles all over the place. Um, I love coaching on decision making, especially as it relates to expectations and boundaries and all the things that we can pre-decide ahead of time. I pre-decided so many things in my romantic relationship with my husband. Like I've pre-decided things as a mom. I've pre-decided boundaries in all the relationships. I've pre-decided boundaries in how we are going to lead our life. So this is just really, really powerful. So let's just say for the month of April, that's just the circumstances. Circumstances are very neutral. We tend to give them a lot of negative meaning, but again, for the sake of this, I'll just kind of keep moving through. So the intention, the thought, perhaps that you grounded in or just felt that gut instinct offer you, that Holy Spirit, that inner wisdom. I must rest and restore this month. Like I just must, right? When you say I must, you feel more compelled. So even the words in our sentences are really, really key. Deciding those words in our sentences, but you feel compelled. The aligned action that you decide is that you say no to any plans with friends. Now, this is where it might feel uncomfortable when people are pushing back or there's a 50% negative circumstance, right? This is where you might need additional anchor thoughts. So there are some nuances here that I won't dive too deep into, but of course, maybe having some hard whys, like there's just layers to this so that you are committed and you stay committed. Because on the other side of that commitment is the ultimate result. It's not just the half-assed result, it's the ultimate result. And in this case, it's that true rest and restoration. And now, because you've aligned this thought, this expectation, this intention with the feeling and action, this is now a part of you. you're able to set boundaries more effortlessly. Like it doesn't take all this energy to have to like ground in, right? Because now it's like brushing your teeth. It just becomes habitual when you start doing this work and stepping into this self-concept. So for sake of time, I'm just gonna, I'm kind of breezing through here. But when you are grounded in firm decision making and you are in that self-concept, you are bridging the gap between not only reality and possibility, but like scarcity and abundance, false narratives and real truth, kind of like this cringy, stuck, icky you to the authentic you, right? We're going to bridge that gap. When you are making firm decisions, you are making a bold promise to yourself. When you make a promise to a friend to keep a secret and you actually keep it, and she knows that you kept it and you showed up for her the way she needed you to, that's powerful. That's a vow that you're making. You're a bold promise. When you're keeping a promise to yourself, you're building that confidence and trust within. When you're in that powerful decision-making self-concept and you're tapped in, I truly, I've seen miracles. The outcome's inevitable. Like I can say that hands down. The outcome is inevitable. You start seeing more of the result. You start seeing the likelihood of the inevitability, and then you stop flaking on yourself. You start literally basking in certainty. You start basking in trust. You start just delighting in that place so much more effortlessly. And to the point we made earlier about that boomerang effect, you're walking in trust, you're walking in ease, you have your own back. People are like, damn, girl, damn, damn, pay it forward. So I want you to keep the blinders on. We compel the belief with action. We close in on that time gap. We close in on that new you, that firm decision maker you. So I would love to continue to do this work with you. I am offering an amazing container just based on this decision making work where we would meet instead of what I typically do is 12 weeks, we would meet for 8 weeks, but we would meet for 75 minutes instead of 60 minutes. And you would get recap emails, all the goods. We can talk more on a consult call if you'd like to do that. But she needs you. That firm decision maker, you needs you. So I would just give me some like feedback in the chat about like how you're feeling. Trust, heck yeah. Like what's the emotional place that you're feeling? Just knowing that this kind of is within your reach. Like I hope you feel like it's within your reach to be that firm decision maker. Love you. Yes, trust. Oh, so good, so good. Yes. Oh, I'm seeing the tentacles comment before. Yeah, we don't need any more tentacles happening. More hopeful. Hope is such a goal setter. Such a goal setter in the emotional place. So if you want to learn more about my one-on-one container, I've opened up some calls this week. Please feel free to book a call. The QR code's right there. Actually, if you want me to send you the link, like you can just pop it in the chat. And I think actually I'll send it. I'm just going to send an email after this anyway. So you all are so wonderful. I am so glad I got to serve you tonight. Like I just want to give this to every single woman because it is the ultimate game changer. If you leverage this, you are literally unstoppable. You are walking in so much freedom and everyone around you benefits. And especially for any of the mamas in here, your children benefit. They feel more sturdier in your presence. That is just a gift that's going to keep on giving for generations. So that is where my heart, oof. You're all the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so happy that you joined me. Please reach out anytime. Love you all. Have a wonderful evening. Happy spring. Thank you, thank you. I'll see you all soon.